Well, I hope this is recording. If it's not, nobody will know. This is our septic tank. It's it's a 4-compartment tank. The big one upper right, that's the primary digester. The other one down here in the back, that's a secondary digester, different bacteria. And then we have one that's only like 2.5 feet by 5 feet. And that's effluent water. We can use that to pump into gardens and stuff. The last little one back there in the corner, under the shade, that bucket goes down into a gravel bed underneath this entire slab. Slab's like 16 feet by 20, has 9 inches of gravel under it, and that's covered with a piece of 4mm plastic to keep the cement and sand out of the rock when we poured the floor. And the bucket, it's sitting on the plastic. This floor is about 10 inches thick. All we have to do is cut out the plastic under the bucket. Take the lid off the bucket and cut the plastic out, and we have what we're using for a drain field. And it's that far from the house. The longest pipe run is 50 meters from the far left side of the house there around this way. The other way is just about the same. It might be 5 meters longer. We dug this hole 2 years ago, and we're getting around to making a different style of forms, slip forms, and we're going to test them down here. Good place to learn something. When you get done with it, you bury it. Nobody will know. This is some of the dirt we had to re-dig. It's I don't know, 30 cubic meters dug by hand. You can tell our dirt's great dirt. It comes out in these little balls when you chip it with a Beretta, and it's heavy too. This was flat land before they threw this up here. Pigeons live over there. I'm not sure what lives in that one in the front. Actually, I'd never seen it before. Probably belongs to the guys that live here. Up here's our dirty kitchen slab. That's on a previous video, plus a couple of updates. They're moving rock and sand over here for the septic tank, or for the dirty kitchen cabinet, whichever one we do first. This is old sand. This sand's we've been dumping on the same pile for the last 3 tandem truckloads, and we've sorted the weeds out of it. But I told them just carve it down flat. It's, you know, slightly contaminated, but we're not putting it in beams that hold the ceiling up, or a suspended floor, or not even columns. We put a bunch of it in this kitchen slab, and then we're going to put some in here. If this gets ready, we'll probably pour it first, because the other one we're in the process of building the forms for. And we have Benji and Boyette in here. This wall is sitting out right now. It's it goes back to this edge down here, sitting over top of that there. So it's like 5 inches out. He's trimming the ends off because it's a little long. This has been a horror show. I don't generally, give them drawings that have errors in them, but we took a number off of a drawing at where this bottom curved form goes, and it must have been an obsolete drawing because it didn't match anything after we poured the concrete. So they're making a wonderful job out of what was really crap there for a little while. When he gets the this thing slid back, then we're going to draw out where all the circular things go. I don't have a handy drawing. I might just do it on the computer. Anyway, there's 8 stove burners on that end, a shallow well pump on the 4th one down. Then there's 3 sinks. Actually, they're not sinks because they wanted 21,500 pesos each for sinks at Wilcon. And that's the ones that have a holder you put your faucet in. If you can do it without having the faucet hole, it's 16,009. So those 3 sinks cost more than my motorcycle. Not happening. So I tried to get some from Australia, which were a better grade of stainless than they sell here. But I couldn't get any of my passwords from my emails or PayPal or Facebook. You know, none of them would work. They all said they were incorrect. I don't know what that's all about, but 0 would go out. There's a health scare going around right now, and I think they've just pretty much stopped any email that has a word that might be used in a sentence that would tell something about that. Anyway, no email, couldn't deal with Australia. Never get answers from China. Alibaba's just not worth calling anymore because they've never answered an email or anything else. They don't have anybody English speaking for the telephones, so I can't deal with them. And I don't want to buy a tractor trailer load. I tried to buy some electrical ends, terminal ends from them. Minimum order was 1,000. I ordered 7,000. Never heard from them. Been 3 months. I'm kind of giving up hope on that. So we're going to go upstairs and see what's going on up there. Oh, that's Boyette with his back to us. Him and Benji's got this project. I don't have anything against either one of them. It's just not going well. That's the kind of scraps we generate out of 4x8 sheets of plywood. It all goes somewhere. And we do have a skill saw. Not sure why nobody's using it, but we do have one. Got a new blade on it too. And we have a MITRE saw. That's my next stop, see what's going on with that. The new blade didn't fit the arbor on the MITRE saw. The bush that they sent with it didn't fit the arbor. But I'd say it didn't fit the saw blade either. It looks like it's the wrong one. Anyway, the machine shop right across the street over there, they're making me a bushing. And I'm going to see if it's done yet. I mean, if it's back here yet. Oh, they've moved that ornamental iron out of the path here. That's worth coming in here just to see that moved. Oh. This is our helical stairs. They've been in many videos. I haven't made many videos. I've made a few and they're in some of them. It's not a circular staircase because there's an open hole. Originally the open hole was 30 inches and the stair treads were the same, so this side here pretty much come over and touch the wall. Same thing on the other side. And we were going to put a fireman's pole, you know, like a brass plated pole you slide down. But then we decided we wanted to be able to walk under this side, walk around through the room here, which you could do if it wasn't full of scaffolds. There's a door right here, and there's a head height problem with this and the door if this thing is 2 feet bigger. So we just elected to do away with the fireman's pole. This building is in a state of change. We do more changing than we do by the drawings. Yes, I'm slow now because I'm old. The ring over there is the ceiling flange for our whole house fan. It goes up there amongst those little orange pieces of pipe hanging down with lights in the end. That's a triple size adapter because none of the boxes fit the lights and they didn't fit the piece in the ceiling. These other ones here, those are on like Crouch-Hines, or no, they're Bell wiring bases. 4 lights, and they didn't fit either. But that's just sort of the par around here. Yeah, well, this is Mr. Skim Coat, LANAIS. I think that means ant. I'm not sure which. Anyway, he's about halfway around on the exterior skim coat. Already got his first resident. Probably poisonous. He did a lot of the render on the house also. Now the edge around the windows here, because the render is 3 centimeters thick, and the cast concrete, you know, is only the thickness of the wall. So Boyd cut back this corner with a diamond blade, 1.5 inches, and then what we'd normally do, we'd put in a bunch of concrete nails in 4mm holes, and then we wrap wire nail to nail and nail the second nail, and then just wire every place. And when you throw the cement up there, it's not likely to ever pull all those nails out. You could get a crack in it, but you know, when the skim coat comes by, that takes care of the cracks. Just don't put the skim coat on until the render's cured for 20-some days. We let it stay a couple months, but like 28 days is 90% of strength, and it doesn't change size after that. Well, we got the new blade on the miter saw. And this is Boy. He's been here pretty much since this job started. I think only one of his brothers has been here longer. The original employee. Well, the original one is Biani. That's another one of his brothers. And we made a deal with Biani about helping one of his kids with education to find a crew. I thought it would be hard to do. He called family, and they're all really good. So no, you know, problem with that. He doesn't really bite. He's just wearing a mask because there's some kind of disease going around. It's not a muzzle. These pieces are part of the new style form we're trying. It's copied from Texas Filipino. Well, it's not exactly a copy, but it's fundamentally it's the same, except that our 2x3s are going to be screwed to the form, so we haven't got to hold them and put bolts to them at the same time. And I think it makes the form stiffer. And also we're using 2x3s on edge, which is stronger, you know, bending on the edgeways than it is if you use a 2x2 that's laid flat. Of course, you can't lay it wrong if it's 2x2, you know. But and the other thing that we're doing is we're not putting columns in the corners or along the walls. The way I look at it, what we're pouring is a continuous beam or a continuous column, whichever word you like the best. It's poured reinforced concrete, reinforced just like a floor or a wall or anything else is poured concrete. I just cannot see what having a thicker section right in the corner is going to do for it. If we put a concrete roof over it, like a 6-inch ceiling or something, it's not even strained. It's just foolish to spend the time to form it and then have to skim coat around it. See up here, that's a column that you see sticking out there on the end. It's 20-some inches. This wall here That's the same thing as having a continuous beam or continuous column. The wall section is 7 inches, and the rest of it, where you see like a picture frame outside, that's 14 inches thick. It's got the same rebar as if that was a beam at the top, and then it's got wall rebar from there to the floor, and just a few extra bars at the floor. But that was just instead of using like 4-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch spacers between the two forms, we used 14-inch spacers on the outside and 7-inch spacers on the inside. There's two pieces of form around here we use for tables. That's what made this depression on each side. That was just trapped between the forms. When the bolts went through the orange pipe that spaced your wall, they had holes drilled in those, so they just hung on the bolts until we clamped it up, until we tightened the bolts down. And it came apart pretty good, being it's got a 45 degree relief on 2 sides and the top. The bottom is flat. It's a square corner. Here's some more, but maybe, I don't know, someplace here you'll be able to see it. The reason it's a square corner is we thought we might put some lanai furniture out here and use that for the back legs, just to set on it, so we didn't have to clean around it. This is not a huge lanai. I don't know what that is across there. Maybe 12 feet in the front and 10 in the back. About 10. This 4x8 here is not. It's at least 9, probably a little better than 9, maybe 10. 38-inch windows. That's another 38-inch window. We got a light bulb up here. One shines out on the deck out there, and the other one can be pointed anywhere in here. Being that this skim coat's white and it reflects light pretty well, we really don't need much bulbs in here. We're higher than the mosquitoes. They don't go up much on height. Of course, we're higher than the banana trees up here. It's tops of them. I'm going to call this a walk-around video. So it's more that than anything else. The mud hole down here. Let me see it. That's my wife's future fish tank, I think it is, for tilapia. It's not as big as that hole looks. It's 3 feet all the way around, smaller than the hole looks. That's because the whole bottom of that hole was a slab of concrete, about 9 inches thick. And it's single reinforced, 1.5 inches off the bottom. But you have to have room to put your forms up, or if you're doing block work, even to stand there to put up blocks. And that just makes it where you got a nice working space. It's flat, so you can set the forms right on and don't have to shim anything. Room to get around it and work, take the forms down. Sometimes you have to pry them off. We've had some we pulled off with a come along. That's when we were still using regular plywood. It became part of the concrete. Down there is a couple of clean out pipes, 1-3 for gray water and a black for 4. Okay, start again. Clean out pipes, 3 inches for gray water and 4 inches for the CR's black water. And every place there's a change of direction on any piece of drainage pipe, in the house, under the house, beside the house, around the house. Every one of them's got clean outs at every bend in the pipe. So this pipe would have come along the gutter here, underneath the gutter in the back, got out there a ways, and then turned going down this side here. And there's we used 45 degree elbows on those, and the house is 60 degree, 30 to the side from the like a crack, that joint. 30 either way makes it 60. And so the pipe runs out under the gutter and then back under it, back and forth, because it's using these 45 fittings, which are easy to get. After we did that, we found out it's no strain at all to make any angle fitting you want out of a 45. You cut it right into 2 equal parts, exactly equal, and you rotate them. If you rotate 180 degrees, you have an offset, but a straight pipe again. And if you rotate it a third of 45, you got a 15-degree elbow. And you can put a magic marker, or we use art line paint markers mostly, and sometimes Sharpies. And you put a line across it, and then you know how much to clock it. You get one right, and you mark it, and you can measure the distance between those two marks. So when you go to make the next one, you just rotate one until it hits the second mark and glue it up. Dip the ends in glue, put them together. A minute later, take a saw and cut it in half, or into 2 long strips. Dip it in the nail techs and wrap it around the outside of that pipe, just like you're making fiberglass. They're incredibly strong. I don't know what it takes to pull a polyester apart, but they make boats out of polyester fabric. So anyway, this pond looks like it's not very deep, and I don't think it really is. It's probably, once we get the mud out of the middle, that's not the concrete. There's a foot of mud in there yet. When that's out, it'll probably be 7 feet up to the grade level. But we don't want surface water getting into this cleaned water for the fish tank. So the sides are going to come up 3 feet above grade. They're going to come 3 feet above this gutter here. So it's deeper than it looks because it's full of mud. But it's not as big across or lengthwise because there's a 3-inch walkway around the outside. And the dirt's all washed in from these piles up here that came out of the original hole. We just never used it for anything. It's just dirt. Hole number 3. If we get the other 2 concreted up some. I don't know if this shows up because I don't know which way the sun's glaring on the lens. But if it is showing, what we're looking at is 1, 2, 3, 5 ducks right there at the moment. And I can't remember the name of that. It's not ampali, it's the other stuff. You can cook that and eat it. People harvest it here to eat it. But and that's most of the feed for the ducks. They eat that plant and the roots off the plant. It floats on the water. And I think they supplement them with some chicken feed once in a while. But it's hard to get them to come up out of there from down in that hole to feed them up here on the surface. They just like whatever side shady is where they're going to be. I need to make a flat spot that I can put some cocoa sawdust in a box or something. Because I don't believe they'll brood eggs down in there. They may. We got a turkey in one of these piles of brush over here. It's sitting on eggs. Got 12 today. They had 21 eggs in a nest a month ago. The turkeys did, and they hatched 19. And we lost 2. They got sick, runny nose kind of looking thing, and then it lasted about 3 days. But the other 16, they're doing fine. They're as big as pigeons right now. They grow really fast. That was intentionally planted. I'm not sure why they put it right there, but they planted it on purpose. The landscaping plan for this place has like 6 feet wide gardening beds parallel to this edge of the gutter, square cornered. So there'll be a triangle here at the end with nothing in it. That's like a walkway. And plants are supposed to go in there, but you can't grow tomatoes out in the sun here. It just kills them. So we have to shade it with something. We're growing bananas on another. That's where we just standing. Those bananas are to shade peppers and tomatoes so we can grow them. And these boxes, they're going to have a concrete rim around them. And I'm kind of thinking I'm going to put a 3 or 4 inch concrete base in them where I can control moisture. I can either, it'll have like graveling, I can either let it out, or I can, if I water it, it's the overwatering can end up in there to, not waste the water. And everybody's building houses all around us. It's going to get noisy out here. We'll go look at some Philippines ingenuity here for a second. This is our metal bender. Right now it's set up for making really small stirrups. Well, for us, they're small stirrups. You got a starting place here. It wraps around, 135 degrees around this, around that, around this, around this, around that again and back, 135 degree ends, so the two ends are like exposed. And this is the minimum radius for a number 16 rebar, though we have done 18s. It's the wrong radius, but it's better than wrapping them around another piece of rebar drove into a stump or into a welded to a piece of plate, which is what everything else around this country is built around, is one single stub about 3/4 inch diameter, and use it many times. It works, it really does. It's just losing some of the strength. Yesterday he made these. They're drilled from both sides. You put it on the drill press and you drill a pilot hole like 6 millimeter straight on through the other side. If it chips out a little bit, doesn't make any difference because it's a small little chipping, because it's a small hole. These are all measured 1.5 inches off of an edge. And right here, I asked him if he did that, but he hadn't. There's another place to drill. That's supposed to have this same size of hole in it, but only 1/8 of an inch deep. That tells us which side is the 1.5 inches. That's whatever the forms are all measured off that 1.5 inches. If you put it upside down or backwards, the holes don't line up when you bolt the forms together, because this is like 1 3/16 and that's 1.5 inches. And with different pieces of lumber, you get different offsets. So you have to have a one common edge that you measure off of. And that other thing down there, if that is showing, then I know it's being put together backwards, or it already is bolted up backwards. Here's our ingenuity. Well, one of the guys' ingenuity. We have a rubber band on here now. Oh, this is it. It's got a depth stop set to go only that deep. Spring down here on the bottom. A little end of it hanging out. Oh, there it is. Got it? Okay, that little spring butts up against this block, and the other end is a slot that goes in the shaft. Unfortunately, it popped off on the inside. It's like the starter spring on the concrete mixers. So to hold the quill up so he could use it and drill these holes, you got a piece of inner tube on here. We got a heavier piece of inner tube after we already started. But this works fine. It just doesn't bring it all the way up sometimes. See, there's about a 3/4 of an inch to go right here of shiny. So we'll take it apart sometime. And you take those springs and you put them in the gas burner on your cooktop. Get it red, bend it what you want, heat it up a second time, throw it in water, heat up another time, and throw it in oil to retemper it. We do that with the starters, the pool starters on the mixers. And virtually any other single cylinder small engine with a pool starter. These plates here are 3.5 inches by 5 inches. They get hinge barrels on this side, and there's another gizmo with hinge barrels. We're going for an industrial kind of look, sort of like World War II pillbox look. That's what I call it, the pillbox kind of house. And those are actually going to mount these big, heavy damn doors. They're like 180 pounds each or something like that. But we're going to have those show. We're going to put them right out where you can see them. And we're going to put 2 bolts in the 4 holes. The other 2 are we're just going to fill them full of skim coat. So that way if we have to change something and the holes don't exactly match. These are all pattern drilled. They should be exactly the same. Oh, video's running long. Well, this is a walk around catch up. I believe we've done that. Oh, this is going to be a form panel. You see there's nails here. those are where the lines cross for the bolt holes. So I'll wrap a string around that here in a few minutes, and we'll draw lines on here. And then this one will be the pattern we use to transfer the holes to everything else. I'm hoping I only have to lay out 2 of these out of, I don't know, 16. Okay. Oh, if you get anything out of these videos, if you're the one guy who's watching them, you can click like. If you don't like, click don't like. If you don't like, a comment would be nice to know why you didn't like. I think this one's going to be called Chapter 26. I don't know. But nobody's watching the videos. I just make them every once in a while. I'll make half a dozen of them and put them up. But nobody, you can look at the views on them if you go to our site. I guess people don't like my videos. Anyway, if you like them, like them. If you don't like them, go to Texas Filipino, My PI Dream, oh golly, Retired and Happy in the Philippines, Peter White, Frankie Sunshine, Australian Filipino Experience. There's a lot of construction videos. This one and Texas Filipino are doing poured concrete. The rest of them are all hollow block. Some good, some bad, but they're hollow block. The stuff comes out of the forms pretty slick. My problem was trying to make mortar stick in these plastic pipes. The mortar walked right out of the pipe. Every time the temperature changed, it would move. Texas Filipino takes and pulls his right out, and I said, "You can take those things out." Meanwhile, we'd rendered the rest of the house. So we're going to knock these ones out and just skim coat this. But he showed me that you can get them out, and I don't know how that got by me. Anyway, well, I know how. Okay, later. Have a nice day.